No pressure. I can.
Okay, great. And if you're at home and you want to, you can leave your camera on or off. It really doesn't matter to me. I
Okay.
know some teachers want you to have it on. I'm more about whatever you're comfortable with. And that's just pretty much with everything. If you ever need to take a break in class, you could be in child's pose for the whole class and I would be okay with it. I would ask if you're okay. I would check on you, but I would be fine with it. It's really your preference. So I don't always bring up current events or things that are heavy in class, but I'm going to today, but it's for a specific purpose. So they released that video of the police beating in Memphis of Tyre Nichols last night, which I did not watch because I learned a long time ago about myself that there's some things I don't need to see because they have an effect on me. It affects everyone, but it's just my personal choice that I choose not to take it in visually. But I'm aware, and I did hear this comment that you hear quite often in situations like this, which is something along the lines of, well, he shouldn't have run from the police. And I think that statement kind of comes down to this basic lack of understanding and knowledge around how we as human beings operate on a physiological level. And I think that in general, this is not something that we're really taught in a practical way about how our nervous systems work and how, when our nervous system is activated, what happens to us on this physical, mental, and emotional level. And one of the many, many beautiful things about yoga is that it works on this mind-body connection, right? And then we begin to be able to step back and witness ourselves in a way that can observe our physiological response. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that we have a central nervous system and a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous response. And sometimes this is called our stress response that's either activated or it's inactivated. And when our sympathetic nervous system is activated, we are in what's called fight, flight, or freeze. This is a physiological response to stress. We get triggered. And so it's completely normal and completely reasonable that when we're in this stress responsive state, that maybe we'll run, that maybe we'll fight, that maybe we'll get completely paralyzed and not know what to do. And I've had this happen to me, like I came upon this accident once, pretty much saw it happen where a motorcyclist fell. It wasn't at high speed, and my first instinct was to turn my car around. And I did, and then I turned around again and went to help because I was like, oh no, I need to go and help and call someone. And I really beat myself up over the fact that I didn't just run right towards it. That my first response was like, I'm getting out of here. But that's, that's part of how we react. Our stress response is triggered all the time, every single day. And sometimes it's critical stress response, like those examples, but most of the time it's at this lower grade. And sometimes it's so pervasive that we don't even realize that we're in it constantly. And this is when we start to really suffer from things like anxiety, right? So taking this time to do a practice that allows us to cultivate tools that we can use to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest, is so crucial to just the way that we live our daily lives. So we're going to work with that today. So let's take a comfortable seat. You can sit up on some props so that your thighs are maybe higher than your knees, and so that you're comfortable, you're in a comfortable seat. And you'll let your hips and your legs get heavy. And then please close your eyes. Sit up a little taller, let the crown of your head rise up towards the sky. Take your shoulders back and down. And begin to become aware of your breath. And maybe this is the first time today, or this week, or maybe this year, or perhaps ever, that you've noticed your breath. The breath is one of our biological processes that we don't have to think about. Luckily, we wouldn't be able to think about anything else. Constantly be breathe in, breathe out, just to stay alive. But it's also really the only biological system that we can also consciously manipulate. We can't just change our heartbeat, right? But we can change the pattern of our breath. And when we do this, we can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So take both hands to your belly, to your low belly. And just keep breathing in and out for your nose if that's available to you today. And if it's not, you just do your best. And see if there's any movement in your belly without changing anything. Notice if there's a lot of movement, or if there's very little, or if it's like your belly is made of cement. And then you'll slide your hands up to your upper chest. And see if you can feel your upper chest moving with your breath here. So most of us are chest breathers. We draw the breath down into this part of the lungs so we can feel this part of the body rising and falling. When we do that, we activate our stress responsive nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. It sends a signal to the body that we're not safe, that there's danger, that we need to be on high alert and in this state of activation. So again, bring your hands down to your belly, and this time consciously try to draw your breath all the way down below your diaphragm so that the belly rises and falls. And even though we know we're not actually breathing into the belly, right? So breathing into the lungs. You see if you could bring the energy there. And that with the fullness of the lungs, the belly gets some movement. This takes a lot of practice. It can take a lot of practice. It can take years of practice. So don't be discouraged. You just do your best. And notice if by doing this, if you're focusing really hard and you started to tighten up your face. So relax your tongue in your mouth. Let your tongue get heavy and wide on your lower palate, making a little space between your lower jaw and your upper jaw. Relax your eyes. You can widen the corners of your eyes and let your eyeballs descend back into your socket, into their sockets. And then on your next inhale, sit up even taller and take your shoulders back and down. Broaden your collarbones, this front part of your chest. And just notice if there's any shift or change in your overall sense of being, in your mind-body connection, just by taking a few moments to get quiet, to turn inward, and to shine your awareness on your breath patterns. From here, bring your hands together in front of your heart. And I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. It could just be to keep the light of awareness on your breath and notice when subconsciously, without even realizing it, you start to hold your breath. You start to tighten up, Start to make the breath more short and shallow. And then the intention can be to consciously deepen the breath. Or to notice throughout your day or the rest of your week when you're triggered, when you go into a stress responsive state, and how you react to that. What's your pattern? What's your go-to? Do you stay pretty calm in crisis, under pressure? Do you totally freak out? Do you cry? Are you unable to think? Do you get angry? Once we recognize our own patterns, we can work to unravel them. So we'll begin our class and seal in our intentions with 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in and let it go with a sigh. 2 more like that. And then gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes, release your hands. We're going to come down onto our backs. You'll want to have your strap handy, and if you're super close to a wall, you'll want to slide over just a little bit. Or you can always kind of flip yourself around on it. So strap is handy, you'll come to recline onto your back, and as you do, take a moment to just lay down and stretch out. You can take your arms overhead, take a full body stretch, lengthen from your fingers to your toes. And then as you exhale, hug your right knee into your chest. You'll draw your knee in towards your chest so that it's more in line with your collarbone, with the side of your neck, than with your armpit. So that you're pressurizing the front part of your thigh and your hip flexor area. So this is a fantastic and powerful pose, even though it doesn't feel like we're doing much. But this is so good for digestion. And digestion actually is one of the first functions of the body to shut down anytime we're stressed. The body automatically sends energy to where it's needed, the heart pumping to keep the breath flowing, to keep the blood flowing. And it shuts down all of these other parts of the body that are considered not as important. And we all know how important digestion is. And so many of us suffer from digestive issues, and this could be why. So here you're hugging the knee in, take the shoulders back and down, and you focus on seeing if you can get your breath down into your belly here. I've been thinking about stress a lot because we're in the very beginning stages of renovating our house so that my in-laws can come and live with us. So stress is kind of like a daily thing in our house right now, and probably will be for some time. And it's a constant daily reminder of, okay, I'm in a reactive place. What can I do? How can I calm myself so that I can be present for my kids and my family? So it's a lot of work, right? Just to deal with our daily stress, just to deal with our daily worries and anxieties. From here, please take your strap and loop it over the sole of your foot or the ball of your foot. And extend your right leg straight up to the sky. If your leg doesn't straighten, if your knee needs to stay bent, that's fine too. But you want to push up into the strap And then take both of the straps in your right hand, keep your right arm straight, and then slide your hand down on the straps until you can take your shoulder blade onto the ground, onto your back, connected to your mat. Press up through your heel so that you feel your quad engage. Your kneecap is lifting. Bring your other hand to the top of your left thigh or your left hip. And try to keep that part of your body grounded. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, you'll open your leg out to the right. And try not to just kind of dump into your arm resting on the ground. Can you resist that? Root down more through the left side of the body. Activate both legs, press out through your heels. And then remember to breathe. Then inhale, bring your leg back up through center. Change hands on the straps. Now take your right arm out to the side to a T or to cactus. Cactus is where your elbows bent, your elbows in line with your shoulder, your wrist is over your elbow. Another inhale, and as you exhale, you'll guide your leg across your body over to the left. You'll roll onto your outer left hip. So now you're in a twist. Here, you want both shoulders to stay on the ground. If your right shoulder pops up, bring your right hand to your right rib cage. And then see if you can feel your low back. Can you make your low back perpendicular to the ground, straight up and down? And if your right hip starts to hike up towards your rib cage, can you press that away? Maybe you turn your gaze out over your right shoulder to complete the twist. Twists are some of the best poses we can do to neutralize our energy. And it works two ways. When we're feeling sluggish, tired, unmotivated, or lacking in energy, twists will re-energize and revitalize our energetic body. And when we're feeling overstimulated, too wound up, anxious, nervous, twists will help to ground us, to balance out the energy in that. Inhale, bring your leg back up through center. And then you can let go of the strap, but keep your leg up in the sky. Bring your hands to your low belly. Draw your low belly down towards the mat so that you're engaging your core and protecting your low back. And then slowly lower your leg all the way down to the ground, lengthening out of your hip as you go. And then once you bring your leg down, you're just going to pause and you'll feel the difference between the right side of your body and the left side of your body. Then as you inhale, reach your arms up, take another full body stretch. And as you exhale, hug your left knee into your chest. Once again, check in to make sure that it's not near your armpit, that it's drawing in more towards the midline of the body. And the more you can squeeze the leg in, the better. It doesn't have to touch your chest, but you're creating that pressure. We have energetic pathways through the body called meridians, and our stomach meridian runs down the front of the thigh, which is part of why this is so good for digestion, because it stimulates that energetic system in the body. Notice your breath. Check in again with your tongue in your mouth. Move it away from the roof of the mouth, away from the back of your teeth. Relax all of the muscles of your face. And then see if you could deepen the breath so that the belly rises and falls. And perhaps you start to notice the patterns of the mind. Maybe the brain is in overdrive and is thinking about all of the things it likes or doesn't like about this type of yoga, or about yoga in general, or about the million things you still have to do today. And here we can begin to separate ourselves and to say, oh no, that's just my brain. It's doing its job, which is to think thoughts. And I'm going to make the active choice to not engage. To instead drop back and down. You could imagine the thoughts like clouds in the sky moving past, or like pebbles dropping down to the bottom of a clear lake. And then you'll take your strap over the ball of your left foot and extend your left leg straight up to the sky. Press up through your heel, take both straps into your left hand. Bring your, into your right. No. That was right the first time. Into your left hand. Bring your right hand down to the top of your right thigh, your right hip. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, open the leg out to the front. Breathe here. So when we practice this in yoga, when we practice this act of witnessing ourselves, of noticing the thinking mind, of noticing the physiological process of the breath, then maybe, just maybe, when we're triggered and activated in our real lives, which don't occur in a peaceful yoga studio, right? Or in this calm space we've created for ourselves in our homes, then maybe we'll be a little bit more able to take a moment, to take a few breaths, to recenter ourselves. Especially when we suffer from anxiety, to kind of disidentify, I don't know if that's a word, unidentify is probably better. Unidentify with that as part of who we are. And instead to recognize, oh, okay, this is a physiological response that my body's having. There's a chemical reaction happening here. And can I instead of going along for the ride that my brain is taking me on about it, can I respond in turn physiologically with some deeper breaths? Inhale your leg back up to center. Now change hands on the straps. Take your left arm out to the side in a T or in cactus. Big breath in as you exhale, right. Leg moves over to the right. You roll onto the outer right hip, low back perpendicular to the ground if possible. You notice if your hip starts to hike up, press it down and away. We do that so that the pelvis stays neutral. Maybe your gaze come out over your left shoulder. Breathe. So I really thought I had done a lot of work on my own reactivity. And then I had kids. And it's so hard. It's so hard to stay, because you really have to stay calm and grounded so that they can have their own big emotional response, because their brains are just not capable of processing their emotions. They're not capable of rational thought in those moments. And they get overstimulated. They get activated. And my oldest daughter especially is like this. And so it becomes even more critical for me to try my best, and I fail every day, but to try to stay calm and centered and keep my own nervous system level so that I can hold space for hers to dysregulate. Inhale, come back up your center. And here you'll let go of the strap. You'll keep your leg extended to the sky. Bring your hands to your low belly. Draw your navel down towards your spine. So you engage your core to protect your low back as you slowly lower your leg all the way down to the ground. And then another full body stretch here. Reach your arms up overhead. As you exhale, hug both knees into your chest. And then you'll roll to your right side, you'll come all the way up and set yourself up in tabletop on all fours. Knees are under your hips, wrists are under your shoulders. Have your index fingers point straight ahead. Your pinkies can touch the edges of your mat. And here we'll move through a few rounds of cat and cow. So as you inhale, you'll let your sitting bones lift, soften your belly, melt your heart. Take your gaze up. As you exhale, round your back, tailbone lengthens, draw your belly in, chin to your chest, and just flow here with your breath. Notice when you lose the connection to your breath, when the mind starts to focus on the movement. And especially when we first start doing yoga, we're first getting back to it. We're thinking so hard about what are we doing? What's going on? Am I doing this right? That the breath always comes last. Like, oh yeah, and breathe. Like you want me to do all these things and breathe. So we work towards the advanced practice of yoga, which is to have the connection to the breath come first and the movement to follow. Inhale, come to a neutral spine. Take your knees wide, big toes touch. Send your hips back towards your heels. Stretch your arms out in child's pose, forehead to the earth. If your forehead doesn't come to the ground, just use a block. Use a block to bring the ground up to you. And honestly, sometimes even when your forehead does come to the ground, using a block can be so nice. Here in child's pose, can you draw the belly, draw the breath down into the belly? Can you keep the parts of the body soft that can be soft, that don't need to be engaged? Like my jaw is always doing yoga. It doesn't make my child's pose any better when I grip my jaw or clench my teeth. And yet here I am. So we work towards unraveling those patterns of tension in the body, softening and releasing those layers of tension that build up, that we carry on the surface of our skin and deepen our tissues. And then from here, you'll move into downward facing dog. So you keep your fingers spread wide, index fingers straight ahead so that your wrist creases face the top of your mat. You lift your hips, send them back. Allow your heels to move down towards the ground. Knees can bend, especially on this first one, especially if you feel this in your low back. Bend your knees. Lift the sitting bones a little higher. Press your chest back towards your thighs. So the goal in down dog is to keep the spine lengthened and neutral. That means a natural curve in the cervical spine and in the lumbar spine, which we can easily lose if the hamstrings are tight and we straighten the legs. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Again, knees can stay bent. You can use blocks under your hands here. And bow forward and fold. So keep the spine long. Keep the sitting bones widening and lifting. As you inhale, lengthen to a flat back. As you exhale, lift your belly and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale as you bow in. One more, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Now, if your knees aren't bent, please bend them and keep them bent. And as you breathe in, you're going to roll up, stacking one vertebrae at a time, keeping the knees bent until you come all the way up to stand. Once you come up to stand, you can straighten your legs. Good. You'll look down at your feet, make sure they're parallel, sitting bone for hip distance apart. Then as you inhale, sweep your arms up. Reach up, lengthen, press down into your feet. As you exhale, swan dive forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway to flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale as you bow. Inhale, arms reach all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. And exhale, take a big step back into the left leg. So you're coming into a lunge. Your right foot is forward. If you have blocks, come up onto your blocks with your hands framing your front foot. So your right knee stacks over your right ankle. Your back leg straightens if possible. You lift your back thigh even a little higher than you think. Yeah. Yes. Then you draw the legs in towards each other. So your right hip moves back in space. Good. Now lengthen your spine, heart forward. Breathe. So I have tight hamstrings. I'm going to come up onto my blocks at their highest setting. And we're going to pulse here. You'll inhale, straighten your front leg, and exhale, bend your knee. Just move with your breath here, moving really slow. Keep your front foot grounded and rooted. Keep your back leg straight and strong. Press out through your back heel. You want your knee to track towards your second toe. So maybe you take a look at that. And the next time you bend your front knee, you'll stay there. And now we're going to do the opposite leg. So you'll breathe in, and as you exhale, you tap your knee down and then straighten it back up and move with your breath. Just a few more. This may be a lot of work. And the next time you straighten your back leg, keep it straight. Bring your left hand down onto the ground and inhale, sweep your right arm up as you twist. Curl your shoulders back, maybe lean back. If that feels really unstable, take your hands a little over to the left, maybe off of your mat. Exhale, release. You're going to take your time to come into downward facing dog here. So however that looks for you, you can even bring your back leg down and bring your hands over to the left. Does not have to be a perfect transition. And from downward facing dog, we're going to move through a slow vinyasa. So you'll inhale, come forward to a high plank. Shift your shoulders over your wrists. You keep the thighs pressing up towards the sky and the tailbone lengthening towards your heels. Then bring your knees down. Lift your feet up. Bring your chest a little forward, bend your elbows straight back. See if you can lower yourself all the way down to the ground. Keep your shoulders moving away from the ground. So they move up, back, and down. Then pick up so your knees are still bent, good you guys. Pick up your right knee and lengthen it towards the bottom of your mat. So you make that part of your body longer and then you bring it down. And same thing, you lift the left knee and lengthen it and bring it down. And notice the difference in the front of your hips. So then extend your feet back, point your toes, tops of the feet move down to the earth. As you inhale, lift your chest, little baby cobra. And then exhale, come back down, tuck your toes, press back into downward facing dog. Inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. And exhale as you fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. So we'll do the second side. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Have your blocks. Exhale, big step back with your right leg. So your left knee is over your left ankle. Your left foot points straight ahead. Your back leg is straight. We often think it's straight. My leg feels straight here, but it's not. So we straighten out the leg. We lift it a little higher than we think. We hug the legs in towards each other. So the left hip moves back, the right hip moves forward. Shoulder blades on the back of the heart. Chest lifted. Couple breaths. And if you know you need a little more height on your blocks, you can take that. And you'll begin this pulsation with the front leg. So you straighten the leg and you bend the knee. Every time I say that, I think of Game of Thrones. Anybody watch the Game of Thrones? No. Bend the knee. Is it exhale straighten? You know, there's really no right or wrong way to do it, Carol. Great. You just want to be in a rhythm with your breath. I tend to bend the knee on my exhale in the front leg. And the next time you bend your knee, you'll pause here. And then same thing with the back leg. So in the back leg, I think I inhale when I bring it down and I exhale, press it to straight. So it's backwards for me. But you just want to do it in a way that works with the breath. Like I kind of find whichever movement feels more difficult is easier with the exhale, right? Like it gives you that extra push to do it. Just a couple more. And the next time you straighten your leg, you'll keep it there. Bring your right hand down onto the ground. It can even come off of your mat onto the wood floor or carpeted floor if you're at home, whatever you have. And then inhale, sweep your left arm up as you twist. Pull the shoulders back, bring the heart back. And see if, even if it's just for a second, if you could let the pose feel good, feel enjoyable. Feel like it nourishes you in some way. Then exhale, release. Once again, we'll move into downward facing dog and whichever transition works best for you. And then you can decide here if you want to hang out in down dog, if you want to come into child pose and give yourself a little breather, or if you want to move through a vinyasa. There's no right or wrong option to take. It's just what's best for your body, for your yoga practice. We all have a different constitution and need different types of movement. Right? For some people, hot yoga is so good. For me, it feels like somebody just, I don't know, totally drained every ounce of energy in my body. And I want to just go to sleep.
It's kind of like church.
Yeah, it's like, no, what's going on? All right, we'll all meet in down dog. And then inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. So we're going to take a wide stance on our mat. It doesn't matter which way you face. We'll all do the same feet. So when you take a wide stance on your mat, you want your feet to be parallel. And this often means that you have to widen your heels just a little bit. And then we're going to turn our right toes to face forward. In this stance, we want to have heel to arch alignment. So the front heel dissects the arch of the back foot. If you were to draw, if you were to draw a chalk line, right? Then with hands on your hips, bend your right knee. If your knee moves past your ankle, which looks like this, you need some more space. You need to toe heel your back foot back. So your knee can be right over the ankle or it could be behind, depending on how deep your front leg is bent. But now bring your hand to the top of your head, and it's like right in the center of your head. So this center part of your head, you want to align right over your tailbone, the base of your spine. We usually tend to lean kind of forward towards our bent knee. So you want to keep that central channel aligned and long, and then extend your arms straight out in line with your shoulders. Flip your palms, draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Yes, keep that. Turn the palms down, bring just your gaze out over your right middle finger, and breathe. Then flip your front palm and reverse your warrior. So your back hand comes down your back leg, you lift your right arm up, nothing changes with your legs, lean back. Press into your right foot, straighten your right leg, keep leaning back. Exhale, hands to your hips, turn your right toes in and your left toes out. So same thing here, heel to arch alignment. Bend your left knee, make sure it doesn't move past your ankle, give yourself more space if you need it. Center of the head, right over the tailbone. It helps me to like touch the center of my head. Like, where is that? Okay, right over the tailbone. Then extend the arms straight out in line with your shoulders. Flip your palms, shoulder blades engage on your back. Keep that. Bring the palms down, gaze out over the left middle finger, and breathe. Can you get the breath down into your belly here? Flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. The back hand just taps, just touches your back leg. It doesn't become a point of support, right? It's just a point of contact to kind of close that energetic loop. Lean back and kind of lengthen out of your hip, then press into your left foot, straighten your left leg, keep leaning back. Inhale, arms up, exhale, hands to your hips, turn your feet to parallel. Interlace your hands behind you. Take your shoulders up, back, and down. When you did that, did your front ribs really pop forward? If so, you're going to knit them back in. So your low back stays neutral, right? Then inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Maybe you can wrap your arms overhead. Keep resisting the shoulders away from the ground. Inhale, come up halfway and pause. You can bring your hands to your hips. And come up the rest of the way. Walk your feet in towards each other. And then we'll come down to sit and then lay down on your back. I'm just playing with some lights, which I still don't understand. There we go. Okay. When you come down to your back, you'll hug your knees into your chest. You can give yourself a little massage here in your low back, making circles in one direction and then the other. And then come back to center. Bring your right foot down onto the mat so that your shin bone is perpendicular to the floor. It's straight up and down. Cross your left ankle over the top of your right thigh. So this is like a figure 4, or it's called the reclined pigeon. And here, sometimes in yoga, you'll hear the cue to press your knee away from your body. But the movement comes from your hips. So you think about your left hip and pressing your thigh bone away from the body, just to your edge, to where that feels like, okay, that's right outside my comfort zone, but I'm not in a place of pain. Once you have that, pick up your right foot. If picking up the foot's not good for your body, then you don't do it. And you can interlace your hands behind your right thigh or on top of your right shin, and then draw the shape of your of your legs in a little closer to your body. Shoulders back and down, maybe eyes closed. Breathe. Notice the weight on your sacrum, on your low back. Can you evenly distribute the weight there? And if you have hips that are a little more open, maybe you could start to move your sitting bones down towards the earth. So you have a natural curve in your low back that like a tiny ladybug could crawl underneath. Relax your face. Make a little space between your low jaw and your upper jaw so that even your teeth could relax. Just a few more breaths here. Release the clasp of your hands. Bring your right foot down to the ground if it's not there already. Uncross your left leg. Then bring the soles of your feet together, your knees wide. In Supta Baddha Konasana, climb cobbler's pose with one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Inhale your knees back up to center. You can use your hands to assist your legs if that feels good. And then you'll keep your left foot on the ground, cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh, flex your foot. From your right hip, that right hip crease where your femur bone goes into your hip socket, can you press the leg away from the body from there? And then you can pick up your left foot, interlace your hands behind your left thigh and on top of the shin. Keep your shoulders back and down. Close your eyes. Maybe here you bring your internal gaze. Your eyes shift up and inward towards the center of your brain, right towards your third eye, in the middle of your brain. Check in with the weight distribution on the low back. The side of the body may be totally different. Just a few more breaths here. And then release the clasp of your hands. Bring your left foot back down to the ground. And cross your right leg. Right foot comes down to the earth. Once again, soles of the feet together, knees wide, one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Inhale your knees back up to center. Toe heel your feet as wide as your mat. Let your knees knock in onto each other. And then you can play with how close to your seat your feet come. You can slide your feet in a little closer to your butt, a little further away, and notice what feels best in constructive rest. Constructive rest is a great pose because it allows the psoas muscle to relax. Psoas muscle, the biggest muscle in the body, it's what allows us to be upright and walking, and it's also the muscle that holds on to that charge of fear and anxiety and gets activated whenever we're stressed so that we could run, so that we could flee. And so here we can let the psoas relax. We can let that energy that we have been carrying around with us, we can let that start to go. And you could imagine here that any energy that's not in alignment with your highest self, that you don't want to be carrying around with you, could kind of trickle out of your body and seep into the earth. The magic of the earth, one of the many things, is that it loves to take this energy on, loves to absorb energy and to shift it, to regenerate it, to make it into something new, to recycle it. Then inhale your knees back up to center, bring your feet back to parallel, sitting bone or hip distance apart. Take your arms out to a T or to cactus. Big breath in here. As you exhale, drop your knees over to the right. Take your gaze out over your left shoulder. Inhale, knees up through center. Exhale, drop your knees to the left. Take your gaze out over your right shoulder. Inhale, knees back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. And then take your knees wide, soles of the feet up towards the sky. You can grab onto the pinky toe edges of your feet or to your ankles. Or you could even bring your hands to the backs of your thighs. Coming into happy baby. Maybe you want to rock side to side, whatever feels good on your body. And then whenever this pose feels complete for you, or if there's another pose your body feels like it needs, you could take that now and then start to set yourself up for Shavasana. In Shavasana, you'll extend both of your legs. You'll take your arms down by your sides. With your arms down by your sides, see that your palms face up. You could cover yourself up with a blanket. Whatever it is that you need in order to feel most comfortable. Do that now. Then take a deep breath in and let it go with a sigh. Relax your tongue in your mouth. Widen the corners of your eyes and let your eyeballs descend back into their sockets. Smooth out the skin of your forehead. Relax your cheeks. Give yourself permission to fully surrender into Shavasana. Very slowly begin to deepen your breath. Call all of your awareness back to your body as you wiggle your fingers and your toes. And start to move and stretch in any way that feels good on your body. If you're at home, you could choose to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. If you're ready to come out, you'll gently hug your knees into your chest in your own time. Roll to one side. Give yourself a moment in this place of pause. And when you're ready, make your way up to find a comfortable seat. Once you arrive, you'll close your eyes, keeping your energy quiet, keeping your awareness turned inward. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And just notice the difference. Notice if there's a physiological shift that's occurred from when you first sat on your mat till now at the end of your practice. And to honor that. Honor yourself for showing up today, for committing this time to give back to yourself. Honor yourself for your practice and honor everyone else in the class, here in the studio and at home virtually. And one more time, call back your intention. Feel free to modify it or change it in any way to carry with you back out into your daily life. And then we'll end our class and seal in our intentions with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each one of you. Namaste. Thank you all so much for being here, practicing together. So good to be here with you guys. And hopefully I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Erin.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.